welcome to Juicy Scoop. I'm very excited to be talking to my friend, a return guest, Nikki Boyer. You guys absolutely loved um, when she was on last because she launched a podcast called Dying for Sex, but it was a limited series, a limited story, and so many people listened and really fell in love with it. And now you have a new podcast, which, wow, what a great idea to have this podcast during this time, called The Daily Smile. Um,
Yeah.
and so I want to get into like what's happened in your life, but let's just talk a little bit about The Daily Smile and how that came about. And I assume is it 5 days a week, or what's the deal with this podcast?
Yep. Monday through Friday. It is first of all, thanks for having me on. I love you.
I love you too.
I feel like I stalk you on Instagram and watch all your videos. So I feel like I've been with you in this quarantine time, like we've been together. Is that weird? I
That's
love you so
good.
much. Uh, and but the Daily Smile is a Monday through Friday show where it's just positive, uplifting, sometimes quirky, sometimes hilarious. Um, Feel good news stories, because let's be honest, right now the news is just inundated with negativity and sadness and anxiety, which is kind of where the news always is a little bit, because I used to work in a newsroom now, especially with COVID and everything. But and not that we don't need to hear that information, right? Because that's
Well,
vital information.
I do feel though I sometimes do go several days without watching regular news, or I'll even get the things that pop up on my phone, and I hear my mom's voice in my head going, "Well, don't put your head in the sand like the ostrich." But sometimes I think you kind of have to, because it's like there's nothing we can do about it at this time. And, as
Yeah.
moms, the kids have to go on the Zoom. I've continued to work. You're working. A lot of people are working, or a lot of people just need to go, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy this time while
Yep.
I have it. I'm going to try to get some stuff done. I'm going to try to watch some shows. I'm going to listen to some podcasts because, if you're the other night we were about to go to bed and it was all about the economy. Peter was watching some 60 Minutes, which, by the way, just like I feel like we're such old people when he watches 60 Minutes or Sunday Morning. I'm like, what? It's like, "Doo-doo!" Like, and I go, I can't go to bed to this talk about
Right.
the economy. And so,
I
um,
know.
so I was listening to the podcast yesterday, what your first episode, and it's a
Hmm.
fun, quarantine dating story of a long distance
Right.
relationship that's literally across the street, but they're in New York. And
Right.
I love it. I think it's something that's
Thank
needed
you.
and kind of great. And they're shorter episodes. Are they always going to be kind of short?
Yeah, they're like 10, 12 minutes long. It's a positive news story that we share every day. And it's just,
Hmm.
listen, we have to watch the news. Like you said, we can't bury our heads in the sand, but why not balance it out? So every day, the Daily is going to bring you just something to kind of just really simply put a smile on your face. You can listen to it with the family while you're like in your kitchen, having coffee in the morning, making breakfast. It goes by really fast. And it's just a good story, and it's nice to have like something to share with people throughout the day. Like, hey, did you hear the story about this? Or hey, did you
Hmm.
hear about the guy who did this? And I don't know, the ripple effect is kind of sweet. And I have to say, I've gotten a really great response from everyone on Instagram and Twitter saying, like, this is just what I needed right now. Like, thank you for these sweet little stories. So Wondery is really great at telling stories, but
Hmm.
these little bite-sized stories can just help you start your day off with some positivity, right? Like a
Yeah.
little bit.
So, last I had you on, we were talking about dying for sex. And I wanted
Yes.
to kind of ask you what has happened in your life since then. Obviously, you launched this another podcast. So, with the success of that one, I assume this came as part of it. But like, tell me a little bit like the response you got, and for those
Oh my
that don't
God.
know, we explain a little bit about that podcast that was, really popular.
So, Dying for Sex, which is actually how I even got into the Wondery family, was a podcast that I recorded with my friend Molly. She was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, diagnosis terminal. So, we started recording her life story. It was a really unique story because when she got diagnosed as terminal, she decided to leave her husband of 15 years and go on a sexual journey. So that 6 episode series you can find on Wondery if you'd like to listen to that. And that is very different. I mean, you know what? It's like it's very different, a different tone than a Daily Smile.
Mhm.
But Molly's story, at many points will make you smile. But it's sort of about all of the sexual things that she did while she was going through her treatment. It's not what everybody does when they get diagnosed with cancer, but it's how Molly wanted to navigate her life. And what's amazing is that you get to see the development of her whole life, the sex, the love, the friendship. And then you get to see what life is like for her when she's in hospice and doesn't have much time left and what she chooses to do with that time. So it's a really beautiful, well rounded story. So if you haven't listened to that, listen to it because I think it's pretty beautiful and life changing. And it's not just about sex, it's about
And
love and friendship and all of that good stuff.
and were you surprised by the reaction
Oh
that
my
you
God,
got?
Heather. It was unbelievable. Like, I got hundreds and thousands of messages from men, women, everyone that said, at first, Molly's story was, I didn't know, is it just going to be about sex and two girls making jokes and having fun? But then by episode 3, you start to really see that there's something profound happening. I had the message that I remember the most was a trash truck driver in the middle of nowhere sent me his photo, big, long, bearded guy. He said, I listen to podcasts all the time during my trash route, and I'm pulled over right now, sobbing like a baby at episode 6. I haven't spoken to my mom in 10 years, and I'm going to pick up the phone and call her today. Thanks to you and Molly for changing my life too. And I was like, just those I've gotten so many messages from people like that. So I just think Molly's story really resonated with people and it was amazing, like life changing for me. These messages I'm getting from people. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and it has been, a weird, and a weird time for everybody. And then to listen to that too, because you're right now, there's big stories out about how many divorces are happening, and there's
Yeah.
weddings that need to be postponed. And you kind of wonder, are these couples going to go for the wedding? Are they going to do it smaller? It's like there's a lot of, moments where people are kind of, really reflecting on their life, which is cool about your
Hmm.
new podcast too. Just like taking
Thanks.
this time to just go, there's nothing we can do. I mean, as far as for me, um, I have dates in the fall in states that are already starting to open up. So I do believe
Right.
stand up is going to come back and I'm going to go back to traveling. And I was just saying to my husband, I'm like, I think we should just have like the funnest summer ever. Like, the kids
Right.
can't go to summer school even if they wanted. They can't go to camp. Um, and we can't do a lot. Like, we can't get together with people and go to restaurants, but we can enjoy a backyard. There are places you can go and you can go to some beaches and you can, in different counties and whatnot. And I'm like, I just think like we should just have fun. I don't know. It's like then there's a little, anxiousness of like, okay, what about when everything goes back? What about when you're committed to go to birthday parties and
Right.
do things that you've kind of enjoyed? Just, like when I used to be home on a weekend and I wasn't doing stand up, I was like, well, let me make sure I have some plans so that I can have some
Right.
fun. And then like the
Right.
other day, I was like, oh, it's Sunday and I don't have to feel
Have
guilty about
anything
doing
to do
anything.
exactly.
I don't have to, I'm not
Yeah, I think
expected to go anywhere. And yeah,
there's I think this time is really causing people to go inward and connect, whether you're conscious of it or not. It's kind of happening, right? Like
right.
it's just happening. And I think a lot of people are going to podcasts right now because there's something intimate about putting your headphones in, doing what you need to do around the house, and listening to stories. And stories matter, right? Stories like can help shape your life. They can help you gain new perspective. And I do think with a little bit of the daily smile, you can kind of go, oh, there are beautiful little moments happening in little small towns. There's big things happening. There's little things happening. People are still being good and loving during these times. And that human connection is important, whether it's in your home, right, with your husband and your kids, or it's like feeling connected to people in a greater way by going, oh, that sweet little woman in South Carolina did this for her whole community. How lovely is that? And what we're hoping is that it inspires people, right, to go, well, I didn't think of that as an option. Maybe I could do something like that. Or maybe I hadn't thought of that idea. So I don't know. I just think it's a great time to just start thinking, going within, and then at the same time, thinking a little bit outside of yourself. And I know that seems contradictory, but it's like it's a nice opportunity to try doing both things.
Yeah. And it's like really take the time for like, yourself and don't feel bad. Like, when it started, I was, like everybody else, like I'm finally going to really tackle this closet.
I know.
And the first week, I think I did like two drawers and like one section and I've never been back. And And I'm just
mean, we
like,
both
now I
are
don't
now.
care because now I feel like now it's gonna hopefully end eventually. And I mean, I've been working the whole time too, but still more time on my hands. And now I'm just like, oh well, now I just want to like pack in, the relaxation and the fun. And it's
Yeah.
just because
Well, it's
it's
funny. When I got when my mom's like 20 years older than me. She had me fairly young. So I talk, I'm 40, going to be 45. My mom's 65. When I talk to her, she always says things to me like, do it later. Why are you clean? Don't, who cares about the laundry? Who cares about the dishes? And my mom was a cleaning lady when we grew up. So she was pretty hardcore about like clean house, keep everything in tidy and organized. And now that she's in her older age, she's like, leave the dishes. Who cares if the laundry's done? And I used to be like, what do you mean who cares? I care. Everybody cares. And now that this quarantine hit, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't have any clean underwear. Guess I won't wear any today. Like, who cares? So I'm starting to get it. Look at your face. Look at
I
your
always just
face.
remember when that would happen like in college and then you wear like the bathing suit bottoms.
It's so funny. I'm saying that story, and I look down. I see your face, and your nose is all crinkled. I'm like, oh no. Have you never gone underwearless?
I don't like to go underwearless. You know how like some people sleep nude and stuff? I've been that kind of person. There's something weird where like even if I've like passed out or after sex or whatever, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have to put a pair of underwear on to continue a good night's
Interesting.
sleep.
Why?
I don't know.
Why do you think that?
I
You
don't know.
feel like all
I've
like
talked about it with some people. Some people always go naked. Some people always go underwearless. Other people have said the same thing that they are something about like just makes them sleep better, like having a pair of underwear
that's
on.
so funny.
So I would have to go the
Maybe
bathing
we
suit
should do an
route.
episode of the Daily Smile about about your panties. Ew. I don't know why I said that.
But I also thought about like because you have kids, but you have girls. Like I have boys,
Yeah.
and oh my god, the other day my son said to me, he goes, "Mom," he's 14. He goes, "We're just driving, just having a nice moment." And they
Yeah.
never, he barely speaks, but he goes, "Will your career ever get to a point where you'll have to do an OnlyFans site?" Do you know what that is?
Yeah. How does he know what that is?
I mean, he's on TikTok. You must have seen like that there's like people's mothers that are having to do this now, like D and C and D and F celebrities. And people got to pay their mortgage. And I'm like,
OnlyFans.
I go, no, Brandon, no,
Yeah.
I promise I'll
I won't do
never
that.
do that. I promise I'll never
You're
do
like,
it because my friend had actually Chris Franjola, the comedian, he texted me that. That was my Mother's Day text. He goes, "Happy Mother's Day, and I'm sure your son's gonna appreciate that you don't have an
an
OnlyFans
OnlyFans
fan site
site.
yet." And then like a week later, he said that, and I was like, "Oh my God, what a," you know, because I
That's
mean
really
that
funny.
here's the thing, like I still sometimes feel like, oh, they'll be like, "Mom, can you wear a bra to breakfast?" And, like I do like when I'm making them make sure I have a bra on or like a sweatshirt. And
Right.
so like when you just said not having underwear, I was like, even the few times I like caught my mom like not with underwear or like saw it through
Right.
like a see-through, it's pretty bad. And I really think, you have to appreciate that they will be like scarred from some things.
Oh, 100%. I saw
Yeah.
my parents naked once together in bed, and I'll never forget the moment. They had the covers on, and I took the covers and threw them back, and they were both naked in bed. And I remember like my eyes, and they grabbed the covers and pulled them back up. And then my mom said, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, Dawn, our underwear must have fallen off while we were sleeping."
How
I'll
old were
never
you?
forget it. But yeah, scarred for life. So I listen. I Why are we talking
Wait,
about this?
how
I
old were
love this.
you though?
I was probably 5.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember one time
But I was smart enough to know that their underwear did not fall off accidentally.
yeah, I remember one
Brought
time
to you by the
my
Daily
stepdaughter,
Smile.
yeah, my stepdaughter came into the room, and she was maybe like 13, 12 or 13, and my clothes, I was like, had the covers up, but my clothes was off to the side of my bed, and she
Yeah.
looked at the clothes and she's like, why are your pajamas on the floor?" like completely like slut
Oh,
shaming me. And I'm like, oh, I was just really hot. She's like, really?
uh.
It's pretty cold last night. It just leaves. I was like, Jesus.
You're like,
Like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
can, so getting back to your show, tell us any like upcoming episodes that you have that are fun?
Yes. So Ross Matthews, who we know and love, was
Yes.
on an episode, and then I would love for you to come on and be on an episode, and we can
Sure.
talk on. I'd love that. We do have an episode that's coming up about Teacher Appreciation Month, where we like really sift through like what teachers do, what they're doing now during this quarantine time, trying to balance their life plus teaching kids. We have a couple of love stories. We do have this one story about it's just so simple. These stories are so simple. If you just read the headline, you're like, oh, that's sweet. But you dig in and get to interview these people and really see why they're doing what they're doing. I cry almost every single interview because I'm so emotional and I get so invested in these stories. There is a dad who does these beautiful marathons in honor of his son that passed away. And he wears, every time I say this, I almost want to cry. He wears a T-shirt with his son's face on it. And I said to him, like, when you're running, do you ever like feel him with you? And he said, oh yeah. When I'm doing these marathons and I'm running and I'm pushing myself, that's the time I feel most connected to him. And I put my hand there and I talk to him, and that's our time to talk to each other. So here's this dad doing these marathons and talking to his son who's passed away, and he's raising money and donating it to these cancer benefits. And I'm just like, when you see people doing these wonderful things and taking tragedy that maybe happened in their lives and turning it into something beautiful, those are my favorite kind of stories. So I can't wait for you to hear that one because it's just really, really, it's a heartfelt story. Really simple,
Yeah.
but really loving. Yeah.
I know when you
I
just
know.
watch things and it's just like, my kids are always like, are you crying? Are you crying? So it's like a lot of people cry watching TV, but now you can get a good cry out when you're like taking a walk and on your podcast by yourself,
I
you
know.
know?
I know.
So
Yeah,
what
these
else
are, I
is,
mean,
what,
they run the gamut. These stories are all over. It can be funny, silly, goofy, emotional. There's one I'm doing Wednesday. I don't even want to give it away, but a friend of mine went through something horribly traumatic, lost his legs in an awful, awful car accident
how
from
old
a
was
hit and
he?
run drunk driver. He's, I think, late 30s,
No,
and
but it
I'm going to
happened,
talk with
it
him.
happened in his late 30s or is it late 30s now?
No, it happened like about 4 months ago.
Oh my God.
And so I'm going to talk to him because he is handling it like something I've never seen in my life. And I'm going to dig into it with him and find out um, what happened on that night, how he's turned his life around, and how he's sort of living with no anger about that being taken away from him. And I can't wait for everybody to hear this episode. He is so inspiring. So it gets really deep. It can get heavy. It can get lighthearted. It can get fun. You're going to kind of get anything and everything from these episodes of the Daily Smile. So hopefully it'll just inspire people.
No, I like that some of them are going to be like more deep than,
Yeah.
than just like, oh, this person's, this little girl's selling lemonade for, I guess you can't sell lemonade anymore, but whatever.
Right? Those days are dead. Oh, that's not very positive. Come on, Nikki.
I know. It's so funny sometimes when you're, with the kids say now and everything, because it's like things are so different. You're just like,
I
oh,
know.
yeah.
Do you ever
Ooh.
watch a scene in a TV show and they're like hugging and touching and you're
Yes.
like, no, 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 stop,
Yeah.
stop, stop. What are you doing?
It starts to feel weird now. It's true.
I
It's
know.
true. Yeah. Yeah, for my son's 8th grade graduation, my husband was like, "Do you wanna just do the dance with him?" I'm like, "Oh, can I dress up like a 13-year-old girl and go to the dance with you? We could
Oh
slow
my
dance."
God.
I mean, literally, I'm like, "You better be nice to me. I might be the last girl you guys ever see," you know? It's like, I don't know.
He's so cute. When I see your videos on Instagram and what's your son's name again?
Brandon is the younger one. He's the one that did the
Younger.
Mother's Day luncheon for me, where we acted like
Yes.
it was a restaurant. Another fun thing you can do.
really fun. Your kids are fun, and they make me laugh because they totally get you. Like, they really get you.
I
That's
know.
awesome.
I was just, yeah, and I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna screw it. I mean, I don't even know. You talk about the teacher appreciation, I do appreciate them, but I also appreciate the parents that are saying, "Fuck it." Like, forget it.
What do you
Like, forget it. Like, what are we doing here? Like, really? Like,
Well, the
it's
interesting
so
thing
for
is
some, yeah.
my best friend is a teacher, and instead of like dumping all of this work onto the kids and the family, she does 1 hour each day with a kid. So it's spaced out, and she does the curriculum for the hour on FaceTime, one on one, not these big giant Zoom calls. And she is busting her butt, and doing it right, and not kind of dumping a lot of the work onto the parents. I don't know how parents are working from home with toddlers. That to me is baffling. Like,
Well,
I don't know how that's going down.
I think there was one woman and like her tweet went viral and her child was like 5 and she just said, "I'm quitting." Or he was like 6 or 7. And he was young. But she was like, "I'm done, not doing it anymore." She like, "I told the school I'm out. We're not we're not we're not, going on to the Zoom call anymore. Like we're just
Right.
we just can't do it." So,
Yeah, she's like, we're expelling ourselves.
yeah,
We out.
we'll just read books at home and like call it a day. I mean, really? I
Right.
don't know. I just it's just like at a certain point you're just kind of like, "All right, who cares? I don't really
What are you
care."
doing to keep yourself like sane and positive and uplifted? Like, what do you do? What's your go-to thing?
Besides listening to the Daily Smile, I do a lot of walks. I do miss working out at a gym, and I was doing Pilates before. So I never really walked around my neighborhood. I always worked out with like a trainer and stuff because I am kind of someone that needs someone to force me to do it. So
Mhm.
I have enjoyed my neighborhood, and then I've gotten very sick of my neighborhood. Just saw a real fucking shady thing the other day in my neighborhood, so I filmed it and told my husband
What?
to like 3 like hoarder cars, like decent cars that are packed to the gills with trash in front of this house.
Hmm.
It must be like a hoarder house, but it's like,
Oh,
in a nice neighborhood. I don't know.
that's weird. I wonder
But I'm
why.
sorry. I'm gonna have to cut this part out, but I'm gonna investigate. I don't want like that's weird. And so it's
Wait,
like
is
there's
the
just a
stuff the
lot of
cars are nice, but is the stuff nice in the car?
no, it's like trash
Oh, yeah, that's probably a hoarding situation.
situation. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's not on my street, but it's close enough that I'm
And do you
like,
find yourself like obsessively thinking about it sometimes? Because
yeah,
I
then
would.
there's this other house that my son and I believe that only the cat lives there. The only the only thing it's like it's again like a house like any flipper would die to get their hands on because it's like a nice piece of property, but
Right.
it's like overgrown and there's just a cat in the window and the only thing that's ever been delivered there is cat food. Like, yeah. Like every day, like so we're just like, but those are the kind of things that just like make it fun. Then we go bay out.
Yeah, isn't it funny how you see your neighborhood now in a whole different light? Like,
Yeah.
I'm noticing things about my neighborhood. I'm like, where did that tree come from? Been there the whole time. You just haven't looked at it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah,
Oh my
so,
god.
I mean, that's kind of that I do enjoy, and I do enjoy listening to podcasts when I go on the walk, like, I do get kind of excited for it,
Yeah, that's nice.
and,
Hmm.
what's kinda cool is, like, when you would, like, read a book on a vacation, you'd always kind
Hmm.
of associate that vacation with the book that you read when you were there or the
Yes.
same thing, so I think that that's sort of cool too with podcasts, it's like now you're like, "Oh, I listened to that series of podcasts when I was driving there or when I was doing that really long walk or whatever." And so I think
Yeah,
that's kind of cool too about it
that's
all.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Wondery actually came up with the Daily Smile idea before this quarantine happened. Like, this was something that they wanted to do, and which I thought was
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, it was before because I remember this was in the works in February, way before the lockdown happened. And then it was just like, duh, we have to thread this needle. Like, we have to tell these stories. So I built a studio in my closet. Like, I have a studio here, but my boyfriend works behind me doing music. And we can't be recording at the same time. So I built a little studio in my closet. And literally, like, I'm crunched in. There's a little lamp, my computer, his smelly shoes, my sweaters, like everything's crowded around us, and I record there for like hours out of the day. And you know what? Thank God I can work from home. But I'm in this tiny little cramped office like room doing interviews with these amazing people all over the country for, so it's, even though I'm alone and, in a smelly closet, it's still like I'm getting to connect with people that I would have never gotten to talk to before they work with us.
Yeah, and I think it'll be kind of interesting to see, um, how the workplace changes. I think people will
Yeah.
be excited to go back into the office, but then I also think there'll be a little better life work balance where, people work it out with their employees like, okay, great, on Fridays you stay home or, that type of situation too.
Yeah. I know. Are you comfortable with like going out and about and being like a person in the world just yet?
I mean, I definitely wear my mask and everything.
Yeah.
So,
I was just
y-
wondering like what this been like for you because I know everybody's different, but I went to Trader Joe's for the first time yesterday in 2 months. I haven't really gone shopping because I got everything delivered.
oh, see, I've been doing the shopping the whole time with a mask. So,
I know. I
whatever.
wish I could be sitting with you. Am
I
I
know,
going to
I
come to your
like it.
studio next and then
Yeah.
I hope you don't have a plexiglass in between us
No,
next
I
time I
don't,
see
but
you.
we sit on either I have had someone come in and I'm having someone tomorrow and we sit on either end of my table, which is 6 feet.
Mhm.
Normally we would be closer, but we don't
Right.
touch or hug and it's just us. But I do, I mean, I do prefer it. But then
Yeah,
you get to, once in a while I get a couple people screaming at you.
I
That
know.
so I don't know. I think it's
Isn't
pretty
this
safe though. I
crazy? Did
think
you
it's
ever
pretty
think that
safe if you're not, huh?
well, the last time we saw each other, the world seemed so different. Like that seems like 100 years ago, and it was only a few months ago. It's just weird. Time,
I
times
know
have
it is.
changed.
It's very weird, but I'm so glad that everything is working out so great for you.
Thank
And
you.
your
I
teeth are
appreciate that.
so freaking white. Were they that white before, or did you do
Oh,
something
my
to
teeth.
them?
I thought you just said you're so freaking white, and I was like, I thought I got a little color yesterday. No, my teeth. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so nice. You know, this is the dumbest story. I'm going to make it quick. When my mom was pregnant with me, she
Yes.
took a drug called tetracycline, which you're not supposed to take when you're pregnant, which probably explains a lot of what is wrong with me.
Wait,
Um,
my dad was on that when he knocked up my mom with my sister. He needed it for psoriasis.
no way.
And
It's an
when
antibiotic
they
you're not
weren't
supposed to take.
they weren't supposed to have any more kids. And then he came home, he'd seen the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Just to confirm, you're not planning on having more kids." He goes, "No." He's
Shut
like, "'Cause this is
up.
very experimental. You're not supposed to get pregnant on this." And then he came home and she like had made a nice dinner and was like, "Well, baby number 4 is coming." So
And that was
you
you.
No, that was my sister.
Okay, okay.
So are you trying to say that it makes your teeth white?
What it does is what it does is it actually messes with the calcium of your bones.
Oh.
So I the whiteness on my teeth are actually little speckles of calcium deposits on my teeth that make them appear whiter than they are. Now, granted, I've got a lazy eye and I break my bones very easily, but my teeth look amazing. I guess,
Wait,
you
when
know,
did you realize that? And that's
um,
from your mom taking it when you were in
when I
utero?
was conceived. Yeah, isn't that crazy? I mean, this is what like we've come to the conclusion of. I don't know. I don't really whiten my teeth, but if you got really close, you'd be like, "Oh, I see those little specks." But those little specks create this weird illusion that my teeth are white. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
It's like the greatest birth defect ever.
Thanks.
I'm
Don't
gonna
do
look at my
tetracycline
sister's
while you're
teeth.
pregnant.
I'm gonna look at my sister's teeth
Yes,
next time I
ask
see
her.
her.
Are her teeth white?
I mean, they're good. They're not as good as yours.
I'm telling her you said that.
But I
Tell her to
mean,
call me.
yeah.
We can do a teeth comparison. I love that no matter what we're talking about, it always goes off on these tangents that make me so happy. Wear your underwear. Don't take tetracycline while you're pregnant.
Well, it's
Thanks
good.
for listening.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, congrats, everybody. Check out the Daily Smile, subscribe, follow Nikki. and
Yeah.
get a little joy in your life.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate your support. Thanks for
Yes.
just being you. You're awesome.
Absolutely. You too. Bye, girl.
All
See you
right.
in person
Mwah.
soon or at Trader
Be
Joe's.
safe.
Bye.
Bye.